Hello, hello, hello. It's been a while. So welcome back to Old School Boxing Talk. I'm going to try to pop two because I've been so busy moving into a new apartment, getting the apartment together that I haven't had time to really do videos. But there's a lot that has gone on since I last spoke to you. So, this video here, I'm going to pretty much do this one on why we need Joshua Wilder. And I'm going to take you back and I'm going to just go through a little boxing history here. It's not going to be a long video, just a little bit of boxing history. And maybe if some of you have questions, if I have the answers, I'll give them to you. If I don't, well, I'll find somebody that does. Anyways, the heavyweight champion of the world was, from the very first one, recognized John L. Sullivan, who famously claimed Michael like any son of a bitch in the house. The heavyweight championship of the world has been the top prize in all of sports. All of sports. And as goes the heavyweight champion of the world, as goes boxing. Especially here stateside. If you have a strong heavyweight champion, you have a very strong boxing business. Now, recently, I'm going to start here when the tale of woe began in boxing. Early days of boxing, we had one champion. One man was the heavyweight champion of the world. And then you might have another guy, maybe a guy that was from the British champion or the Australian champion, but they weren't the world champion. They were just a champion of their country. And the heavyweight champion of the world would, go and fight these guys just to prove that he was the best. And the heavyweight champion, a country that had the heavyweight champion, usually puffed their chest up proudest because they had the baddest man on the planet, which heavyweight champion has always been considered the baddest man on the planet. Now, fast forward a couple years down the line, through the racial tensions of when Jack Johnson won the championship, to when Joe Louis won to all that string after Jack Johnson, they said no other black man is going to win the title. But of course, from the time Jack Johnson gave the belt up to the time that Joe Louis won the belt, the heavyweight champion of the world, from Jack Dempsey to Jess Willard on down, the heavyweight champion of the world had a special place in the media's heart. The media loved covering the heavyweight champion of the world. Joe Louis came along during the time we were in the middle of World War II. And, Joe Louis is one of my grandfather's favorite fighters. And this is why I have a love of boxing, because my grandfather, this was his sport. Boxing and baseball, and I hate baseball. But boxing was something that we bonded over. His favorite fighters all time were Sugar Ray Robinson, Joe Louis, and Roberto Duran. There was nobody you could tell the old man was better than those three. I mean, my goodness. Especially Sugar Ray Robinson. You ask for Sugar Ray Robinson, my old man would go on and on and on forever about how great Sugar Ray Robinson was, and the Brown Bomber, go on about how great Joe Louis was. And of course, Duran. This is when Duran was at, my grandfather being from Panama and Duran being from Panama, countrymen. But Duran was a hell of a fighter. I mean, I'm sorry. In the history of this business, in the history of boxing, in the history of our sport, there's never been a greater lightweight champion than Roberto Duran. Sorry, point blank, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others. I mean, there are many that say Sugar Ray Robinson was the greatest fighter pound for pound ever, and I have no doubt from what I've seen in footage of Robinson, and I have no doubt that you can make an argument for that. But opinions are like assholes, everybody has them. And that's mine, that, in my opinion, Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest fighter ever fought. Roberto Duran is the greatest lightweight champion ever. And maybe later on, if the spirit moves me, I'll go down division by division and tell you who I believe is the greatest fighters in those divisions and why. But that's a video for another time. So, as boxing progressed into the 60s, after Marciano, boxing the National Boxing Association was the premier boxing establishment after the mob pretty much went underground with running boxing. Because early on, the mob ran boxing. We all know it, and it's part of boxing seedy history. The mob ran it, and the mob pretty much, dictated who got a title shot. After the mob, for quote unquote, was pushed out of boxing, the National Boxing Association out of New York, the New York State Athletic Boxing Commission, pretty much became the preeminent boxing boxing authority. They were the top top authority, the top commission in boxing. Just like today, some people think it's the Nevada State Athletic Commission. I think after Mark Ratner left, the Nevada State Athletic Commission kind of really went downhill. My opinion, again. Before Mark Ratner ran the Nevada State Athletic Commission, top notch. After Ratner left, it's kitty by the door. But like anything else in boxing, where there's money, there's a change. We can look the other way. We can change our opinions. Okay, now we go back to a young Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali, beat Sonny Liston for the heavyweight title. And in my opinion, that guy is the greatest heavyweight ever. That Muhammad Ali that beat Sonny Liston, I don't think there's a heavyweight past, present, or future that would beat that guy. That guy was awesome. Not the Ali you see in later years, but that Ali you see in later years was damn good heavyweight too. But the Ali that beat Sonny Liston, that beat Floyd Patterson, that young Ali, greatest heavyweight ever. In my opinion. Now, see, that's why when you do Ali, you got to break Ali. So when I do Ali things, I break Ali's career into two parts. The beginning, before he was sent to prison and lost 3 years of his career, and the post and the Ali afterwards. The Ali before he went to prison was the best heavyweight ever. That guy was awesome. That guy, I don't think there's a heavyweight ever that would have touched that guy. The Ali came afterwards, was different Ali, but he wasn't the same Ali, but he wasn't as fast, wasn't as flashy, but he was different Ali, but he was a bigger Ali, and a smarter Ali, but still the greatest. So we move on. Ali gets Ali gets suspended because because we all know the story. Ali got suspended because he would not sign up for the Vietnam draft. He would not ready to go to Vietnam draft, and he wasn't going to go to Vietnam. And during the 60s, that was a turbulent time where people had an issue with Vietnam, and especially in America where African Americans were treated, well, still today they are, but more so in the 60s, we were fighting for our rights, not to be treated as second-class citizens. So much. And we just came off the marches, and, we had Dr. King, and we had Malcolm X, and, it was a turbulent time there. And Ali had just turned to Islam, the rise of the Nation of Islam. So, during that time, after Ali was stripped, the New York Athletic Association became the World Boxing Association. And they, they wanted to move out from just being in New York. From being national, they wanted to be world. So they became the World Boxing Association, the first of these alphabet soups. So we have our first alphabet soup. Okay, Frazier, the title goes on. You wind up with Frazier. Of course, Ali fights Frazier. Frazier won. Frazier wins. Yada yada. And in late in the 60s, early 60s, we had the creation of another governing body called the World Boxing Council, which pretty much the World Boxing Council did a smart thing because by this time Ali was the champion, so the World Boxing Council just did what the smart thing was to, same thing the IBF did. Award the belt to Ali. Give it to Ali. We're not going to hold a tournament. We're not going to do nothing stupid. We'll give Ali the belt because we're not going to try to tell somebody out there, the WBC did the smart thing. Now, for the longest time, Ali was the undisputed heavyweight champion. And if you go back and look at it, there was no talk about WBA, WBC, even though the WBC did exist. During Ali's reign as champion, the WBC did exist. It's just that the WBC was smart. They just say, hey, champ, here you are. Same thing when the IBF came into existence. The first thing the IBF did was look at the division with the reigning champions and award them the belts, saying, we're not going to hold a tournament. We're not going to tell you no. They went to the heavyweight division and said, Larry Holmes, here you go, Larry. They went down the middleweight to Marvin. Here you go, Marvin. They went to junior welterweights. Aaron, here you are, Aaron. Give it to Aaron Pryor. They went to the division that had established champions and just said, here you go. That were the top champions, when the IBF came into being. The same thing WBC did. The WBC just went down the line, found established champions, and here you go. And the other weight classes where there were no established champions, they just held tournaments and, to fight for their belts. So we go through the Ali era. Up through the Ali era, there was no talk of splintered belts because the WBC, Ali was a champion. That was all that was going to be said about it. Ali was a champion. Up until Muhammad Ali lost to Leon Spinks. Now, here's where the splintering comes. Because at this point in the heavyweight division, the WBA champ, Ali was promoted by Bob Arum. But all the other heavyweights were Don King's heavyweights. And Don King saw a move to get the belt, or get one of those belts. Which pretty much was Don King when Ali and Don King went to his boy Jose Sulaiman and said, hey, you got to make sure, you got to give Kenny the shot. We get, make Ali fight Kenny for a fourth time. Even though nobody wanted to see Ali versus Norton for a fourth time. But Kenny's no one contender. You got to, yeah. So Jose Sulaiman, so when Ali signed to fight a rematch with Leon Spinks, the WBC and Jose Sulaiman for the first time splintered the heavyweight division. Splintered it. They took the WBC title and awarded it. This is the word here. They awarded the championship to Ken Norton. He did not win it. It was given to him. The difference between Ken Norton being given the WBC title and the WBC title being given to Ali, Ali was the established champion in the heavyweight division. So when the WBC came in, they said, you know what, we're not going to try to tell people that there's somebody better than Ali. We know there's not. And they said, here, Muhammad, there's the belt. When they stripped Muhammad of their belt and awarded to Ken Norton, because, well, they didn't strip Ali, they stripped Leon Spinks. They stripped Leon Spinks because it's what Don King wanted was, everybody knew that Leon Spinks beating Ali was a fluke. So what Don King wanted was Don King wanted control of the heavyweight division. So Don King figured, let me jump in here and grab this now with this Spinks boy, because Ken Norton can beat this boy. I'm sure Ken Norton can beat Spinks. And I can then grab the control of the heavyweight division from Bob Arum. Well, Leon Spinks said, the money's here and Ali gave me a shot. I'm going to give Ali a shot back. So Leon Spinks chose to give Ali a rematch. So the WBC then awarded their belt to Ken Norton. Awarded it. Okay, we all know what happens. Leon Spinks fought the rematch with Ali. Ali beat Spinks. Ali then promptly retired. Okay. Now, but let's remember, Leon Spinks was the lineal heavyweight champion because he beat the lineal champion, which is the problem that Larry Holmes had, which we're going to get to that in a minute. Now, Ali beats Spinks in a rematch, then Ali retires. Meanwhile, Ken Norton, who's just been handed the WBC title, has to defend against his mandatory Larry Holmes, who was the sparring partner for Ali, but also for Joe Frazier. So Larry Holmes been around the block a few times. He fought some of the better guys. Well, Larry Holmes beats Ken Norton, not easily. But the thing that people were underestimating was, you got to look at the fact that Larry Holmes fought Ernie Shavers to earn that spot. That's so, but he earned it. He wasn't given nothing. Larry Holmes beat Ernie Shavers. And Ernie Shavers, oh God, anybody that knows anything about boxing knows about Ernie Shavers. Ernie Shavers is a fucking monster, and you didn't want to mess with Ernie. So Larry Holmes beats Ernie Shavers in 12-round unanimous decision, earned his fight with Norton. Okay, great. Holmes goes in, and him and Norton go 15 beautiful rounds. Larry wins. I watched the fight a couple times. I had it. I gave Larry 9 of the 15 rounds. But that's my scorecard. But that's, like I said, we're not getting into that. So now we have Larry Holmes. Meanwhile, the WBA side, they had a tournament under guys that where Bob Arum had a bunch of his heavyweights, and he had a tournament won by John Tate. Okay, so John Tate wins the title. Yay! Here we go. Now, John Tate wins the title, goes to South Africa to defend the title against Jerry Coetzee. Retains the title against Coetzee. Okay. Now, after that, Mike Weaver somehow, a Don King heavyweight, became the WBA mandatory. So, while Larry Holmes is racking up defenses, because King has the WBC title now, he's controlling it, he needs to push Arum totally out of the heavyweight division. And what's he do? Mike Weaver, losing on all the scorecards, all 3 scorecards. Poor Mike Weaver, didn't win a second of that round. 1 left hook. John Tate goes to sleep, and Don King now has control of the entire heavyweight division, which he would not relinquish until years later. So, now the heavyweight division is controlled by Don King. Mike Weaver has the WBA title. Larry Holmes is WBC champion. And Don King did his best to kind of maneuver Mike through a few fights, because Don King had all the top heavyweights and he had some other heavyweights, but he was like, I'm gonna let Weaver fought not the toughest competition, but he fought guys just good enough to, because he went back and forth. Weaver fought Jerry Coetzee, gave Coetzee another title shot. Weaver knocked Coetzee out in the 14th or 15th round. Mike Weaver knocked Coetzee out, retaining his WBA title. Then I think he fought James Quick Tillis. I think he made maybe 2 or 3 defenses of the title before he finally lost to Michael Dilks, which was a bullshit stoppage to begin with. But I'll get there. So, Larry Holmes is going along. Larry Holmes is motoring. The people recognize, hey, Larry's the best heavyweight out there. Because let's go back a bit because I missed something. Before Mike Weaver won the WBA title by knocking out John Tate, he had fought for the WBC title and been knocked out by Larry Holmes. So, when Weaver did win, Larry had already beaten Weaver, so, yeah, Larry was the better guy. And King was never, and the biggest mistake I think that Larry allowed, and King, they never gave Weaver a rematch and unified the titles. But that was something that only Don King knows why that didn't happen. I think it was stupid. I would have unified them, but that's a Don King issue. So we move along. Larry Holmes is motoring along, going through everybody in the heavyweight division, going through everybody. And while Larry Holmes is taking a hard road, Mike Weaver's kind of just taking, Don King kind of, we want to just control that belt. That belt's not important. We just don't want Arum in it. We want to control the heavyweight division. So that's what Mike Weaver's place was, just to hold that belt and make sure we control it. So, finally, the night that boxing died, Muhammad Ali is talked out of retirement to fight Larry Holmes. I guess Ali made maybe $10 million for this. Larry made 4. Ali made maybe 10 million plus money on the back end. And Ali was one of the guys the Nation of Islam made sure that of all the heavyweight Don King could rob, Nation of Islam pretty much let Don King know, if you try to rob him, we're going to have problems with this. Because if you go back early in Ali's career, when Ali first got the Nation of Islam, the leader of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, said that what happened to Joe Louis would never happen to Ali. Now, if you don't know what happened to Joe Louis, this is what happened to Joe Louis. Joe Louis, heavyweight champion of the world, joined the army, fought a bunch of exhibition bouts, for the troops, to entertain the troops, And after his career was over, Uncle Sam decided to smack Joe Louis with a heavy tax bill, saying, "Joe, you ain't paid taxes. What are you talking about?" I'm fighting exhibitions. I'm not getting paid, you know. But Uncle Sam fucked Joe Louis. America fucked Joe Louis. Let's be honest about it. So, but you know, when he was no more used to him, yeah. Okay. Now, that's pretty much one of the reasons why Joe Louis had to come out of retirement to fight Rocky Marciano because of taxes. And of course, Marciano beat an old Joe Louis, and you know that was the way of passing the torch, giving um giving Marciano some legitimacy. Um, you know, giving legitimacy to Marciano by having him beat Joe Louis. And the same thing happened here some 20 years later. Ali had no right being in the ring. He'd been out of the ring for a couple years, and Ali's, you know, Ali was never a Spartan for living a Spartan life. Ali left, you know, was out there. He was a preacher. He was, you know, doing tours. Ali was doing everything but training for boxing because Ali was done. After he beat Spinks, Ali was pretty much done. He was doing, you know, decon commercials. He was doing Hollywood. Ali was, you know, he was an ambassador for the Nation of Islam for a long time. You know, and boxing was the last thing on Muhammad Ali's mind or anything, you know. So then, you know, not that Ali needed the money because Ali didn't. So then, you know, but if you're offered 10 million plus, you know, something on the back end, Ali had an ego. Let's be honest. All fighters have an ego. All fighters. Because to be a fighter, you have to have an ego. Ali looked at Larry Holmes and said, this boy used to smack around in sparring. So, he's the heavyweight champion. I'll beat Larry's ass. Give me 3-4 months to get in shape, I'll beat Larry's ass. So, Ali started taking diet pills and all other shit to get himself down in shape. And Ali figured, yeah, you know, because Ali beating Foreman with the rope-a-dope, and Ali had adjusted his style over the years. When the legs started going, when the athleticism started, Ali adjusted his style. He was still Ali. So Ali felt, yeah, I'll get it. I'll beat Larry's ass. You going to 10 million plus a percentage of the back end? Oh yeah, I got this. Easy money. I win my 4th heavyweight title. Easy money. No such thing as easy money. Poor Muhammad got tortured for 11 rounds. You know, Larry Holmes won every second of every round. Ali had no energy. Ali had nothing. And finally, Angelo Dundee stopped the fight. You know, Angelo Dundee was not going to let Muhammad just go 15 rounds of being a punching bag for Larry Holmes. Angelo Dundee said, you know, fuck this. You know, just take our money. Let's get the hell out of here. Pass the torch on, because honestly, it was up to Ali. Ali would have went 15 rounds. And it was, you know, Ali would have went to 15 rounds. You know, he'd have been hurt more. I mean, because later on in life, we know about the Parkinson's and things like that. But Angelo Dundee cared enough about Ali, saying, you know what, champ, we ain't got it, you know. He gave Ali moments in the fight, saying, champ, you got to show me something, man. You got to show me something. Ali had nothing. Because by taking the weight pill, whatever he took, not only did it drain, he got him down, but he also had no energy. What was once there wasn't there anymore. See, the thing about fighters is fighters get old overnight. You know, you don't know, sometimes you're a great fighter, and you go through training camp, everything is clicking. And you get in the ring. It's like, oh shit, and the bell rings. It's like, oh shit. Or maybe for some fighters, you feel it on the way to the ring. You're like, oh, fuck. I don't have it tonight. So, you know, some fighters you sure you don't have it tonight, but you get in the ring and it comes back to you. Sometimes you get in there, you just don't have it. Leonard went through that against Terry Norris and against Hector Camacho. Sugar Ray Leonard, those are two fights Leonard should have never had. Didn't have it. He thought he had it, but he didn't. Body betrayed him. Looked good in training. And you can look good in training. Ali looked good in training too. Body betrayed him. So, now, the lineage, the legitimacy of the heavyweight championship is now officially passed to Larry Holmes. Okay. Which is why, in my opinion, I believe that when Dennis Rappaport and, I forgot the other idiot's name, were bringing up Jerry Cooney, instead of them targeting Mike Weaver, and going after the WBA title, they targeted Larry Holmes because they wanted legitimacy. If Larry Holmes had not fought Ali, I believe Jerry Cooney and his company would have went after Mike Weaver, and Cooney would have won the heavyweight title because I think he would have beat. I think Jerry Cooney could have beaten Mike Weaver. Story for another time, though. So now we got Larry Holmes is entrenched as the heavyweight champion of the world. Mike Weaver's just a titleist, and that's the way it went. As long as Larry Holmes was the man. So then Larry goes through, he beats everybody, he's going cruising on his way to breaking Marciano's record. What happened is somewhere along the line there was a beat. Larry and Don King had a dispute, and somehow Don King got the WBC to strip Larry Holmes of the title, and Tim Witherspoon wind up with the damn belt, but nobody cared because Tim Witherspoon had already been beaten by Larry Holmes. Pinkley Thomas had already been beaten by Larry Holmes. These guys fight for the WBC belt, but the IBF, it did the smart thing. The IBF was just coming in. The IBF said, here you go, champ. We'll recognize you. We'll recognize you're the champ. So Larry Holmes wound up fighting Carter Truth Williams the rest of these fights as IBF champion, but also the lineal heavyweight champ, which he was. Now, then Larry Holmes, of course, loses to Michael Spinks, and of course loses the rematch to Spinks. Now Michael Spinks is the unified lineal heavyweight champion. Okay, Michael Spinks the championship. So now here comes a young Mike Tyson, just the shot in the arm boxing need. He's brash. He's Sonny Liston reborn. He's this, young upstart trained by Cus D'Amato, who had trained previous heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson. Of course, he also trains Jose Torres. Cus D'Amato had a damn good track record of making champions. And of course, Cus D'Amato passed away, but Jimmy Jacobs and Bill Cayton were guiding Tyson's career. And they were doing a pretty good job until Jimmy Jacobs died. Because, see, the relationship Mike Tyson had a relationship with Jimmy Jacobs and Cus D'Amato, not Bill Cayton. Bill Cayton was the money guy. Bill Cayton was a business guy. Bill Cayton was a guy that when Tyson got his shit in trouble, Bill Cayton was the guy sending lawyers on, pay that shit up, let's get this motherfucker back in the ring. Bill Cayton wasn't Mike Tyson's buddy. And that's where Don King used that to Weasel's. When Jimmy Jacobs died, Don King used that as a wedge in between there. But we'll get to that. So, okay, young Mike Tyson's rolling through the heavyweight division. He wins the WBC title from Pinkley Thomas. He then wins the WBA title from Bone Cruncher Smith. He then wins the IBF, unifies the three belts, defeating Tony Tucker, because the IBF at this point had stripped Leon Spinks of the belt because of his inactivity. And of course, Leon wasn't going to fight them, man. Strip Michael Spinks of the belt because of inactivity. And Michael wasn't looking to fight those guys. Michael's like, look, I got the heavyweight title. I'm looking to make a couple more fights. I'm looking to get the hell out of here. Because Michael Spinks was one of the greatest light heavyweight champions ever. And Michael Spinks became the very first light heavyweight champion to win the heavyweight title. Now, Billy Conn would have been the first, but Billy Conn got cocky against Joe Louis, and, away we just. So Michael Spinks became the very first light heavyweight champion to beat a reigning heavyweight champion. Now, Michael Spinks is the lineal heavyweight champion. He doesn't have one of the alphabet belts. Michael Spinks cared less about the belts. He's beating Jerry Cooney. He's fighting who the hell he wants to fight when he wants to fight. Because Michael Spinks, at this point in time in his career, Michael Spinks had one foot out of boxing. Michael Spinks was pretty much done. He'd proven everything he wanted to prove in boxing. One of the greatest light heavyweight champions ever. Undisputed light heavyweight champion. Skipped the cruiserweight division because Michael Spinks could have been a 3-division champion had he chose to go to cruiserweight. But he chose to skip that and took the fight with Larry. Him and Butch were smart. So anyways, Michael Spinks him and Butch Davis were ready to get the hell out of, they ready to get the hell out of boxing. They knew Michael's ready. So Michael Spinks, he fights Cooney, just sit back. Then all of a sudden, young Tyson comes along. Tyson's winning everything, and Spinks says, everybody says, well, you're the undisputed champion, but you're not the lineal champion. That's Michael Spinks. So, we got to go take care of that. Don King wants that, and Mike Tyson wants that, and, it's like, hey, and Michael Spinks looked at the money in him, and, Butch said, "Yeah, let's make this money and get the fuck up out of here." So they went there, and Tyson knocked Michael Spinks out in the first round, and Michael Spinks never been in a boxing ring since. Took his, I think he made 15, $16 million, um, plus some back end money, and got the hell and left. Never even seen from again. Left. Okay, now here we go in the Tyson era. Tyson is steamrolled, but not old Tyson era. But here's what's happening in other parts of boxing. Boxing now is healthy. Boxing is healthy because if the man at the top is gravitating a lot, then it trickles down. It trickles down. So Mike Tyson is running through everybody. He's the heavyweight champion of the world. Everybody's happy. Yeah. The businesses are booming. Every HBO's business is going through the roof. Everybody's happy. Fighters, smaller fighters are making money. And not many super fights, but you're making money. So then there comes the night in Tokyo, where Mike Tyson once again took Buster Douglas lightly and stepped him down the pill and got knocked the fuck out. So now we have a new undisputed champion in James Buster Douglas. And Buster Douglas kind of didn't capture the imagination of the people. He didn't, because at the same time this Buster Douglas thing was being done, Mike Tyson and Don King were negotiating to fight Evander Holyfield. The undisputed cruiserweight champion, Evander Holyfield. And these guys had a rival, a bit of a rivalry, So they were negotiating the Holyfield fight. So the Douglas fight was just a tune-up fight. The Douglas fight was supposed to be a Mike's tune-up fight. Then he was supposed to fight, for the next big fight was supposed to be Buster Douglas. Was supposed to be Evander Holyfield. Well, something happened on the way to that. First, Buster Douglas, his mother passed away, and Buster Douglas fought the fight of his life and beat Mike's ass. And then, secondly, a lot of shit happened with Mike outside the ring, the Desiree Washington shit, Mike made a couple. Mike did pound his way back. By this time, Evander Holyfield had knocked out Buster Douglas to become champion. So now Mike was on the comeback trail. Mike was, still Mike. Everybody said, the Douglas thing was a fluke. Mike was beating Donovan Razor-Ruddock twice. And Mike was on his way back. Then, of course, the Desiree Washington thing happened. Mike went away for 3 years. And Evander Holyfield was, the heavyweight champion of the world. And Evander started fighting a new breed of heavyweights, Riddick Bowe. At this time, Riddick Bowe came along, and Lennox Lewis was coming up, and Evander had to fight these guys. Evander wound up having 3 fights with Riddick Bowe, losing 2 of them. The first one was he lost to Bowe. He won the rematch and lost the third and final fight. Okay, so that handles that. But the Bowe era was forgettable because Riddick Bowe, yes, he had all the look, he had all this, but Riddick Bowe didn't have the desire, the dedication to be a good heavyweight champion. Riddick Bowe ducked Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis knocked Riddick Bowe out in the amateurs. Riddick Bowe wanted no smoke with Riddick Bowe wanted no smoke with Lennox Lewis. None. Riddick Bowe gave up the WBC belt and pretty much told Lennox Lewis, go away, boy. Here, take this belt and go away. And Lennox Lewis said, all right. So he took that WBC belt. Lennox Lewis began to start putting his shit together. Did Lennox have a few hiccups along the way? Absolutely. Lennox Lewis was rolling along and he fought Oliver McCall. Because here's the problem now. For the first time in a long time, Don King didn't control the heavyweight division. And Don needed that because you had main event, Holyfield's in main events. And Lennox Lewis with Frank Warren. So Don King is asked out in the heavyweight division. That was the end of Don King's reign. When Holyfield beat Douglas, Don King's control of the heavyweight division was pretty much done. He did get something here and there, but his control of the division was done. He needed Tyson back. We'll get there. So, Lennox Lewis is given the WBC title. He goes on, defends it. Then he has a hiccup against Oliver McCall. And then Lennox, a couple fights later, Lennox then changes trainers, becomes trained by Emmanuel Stewart. And Emmanuel Stewart turned his career around. And Lennox Lewis went on his long recaptured title, went on his long winning streak until he walked into a right hand in South Africa from Hasim Rahman. And yeah, down went Lennox. And once Lennox went down, Lennox didn't get up. Didn't go on out often, but when he went down, he didn't get up. Um, Lennox, of course, got the rematch. Lennox destroyed Rahman. Then Lennox went on to, by this time, belts were flipping back and forth, but somehow Lennox won it with all the belts but one, and that was the one that Holyfield had. So now Holyfield and Lennox Lewis fought. First time they fought, everybody felt Lennox Lewis won the fight, but they called it a draw. Second time, Lennox Lewis did a little bit more and made sure there was no doubt who won. Lennox Lewis became the undisputed heavyweight champion. Again, in between there, okay, here, matter of fact, Lennox Lewis had the WBA and IBF title because WBO title was just, even though Riddick Bowe held it, because Riddick Bowe was WBO champion when him and Holyfield fought for the last time. Nobody gave a fuck about WBO. It was a new belt on the block. Nobody really gave a fuck about it. Okay, but fast forward, the WBA title was held by Bruce. Somehow, Don King had gotten the WBA title. Bruce Seldon got it. He procured the WBA title, and Bruce Seldon wanted beating Tyson wanted beating Bruce Seldon for it, and Holyfield beat Tyson, and thus, once again, at the end of that took care of Holyfield beat Tyson twice, and he was WBA champion. Holyfield rolled around with that belt there for a while. Then Lennox Lewis, him and Lennox fought the unification, of course. Then boom, whatever. Lennox undisputed heavyweight champion. Business is good. Lennox wasn't the most popular. He wasn't, but other fighters were emerging. But when you have a strong heavyweight division, boxing's in a good place. You know who the heavyweight champion is. Now, after Lennox made his final defense of the undisputed heavyweight title against Vitaly Klitschko, and it wasn't Vladimir. No, I think it was Vlad. One of the Klitschko brothers. I think with the older Klitschko brother. Lennox defeated him, in 7 rounds on cuts, and that was Lennox's last fight. Lennox was supposed to fight. Oh God, I forgot the guy's name. Lennox was supposed to fight. It was another kid, Johnson. A kid named Johnson was supposed to be Lennox's opponent, but the kid got hurt, and in stepped Klitschko. And Lennox was not in shape for that fight because I guess it was just it was one of those fights where, Lennox really didn't train hard because this kid Kurt Johnson. He was supposed to fight Kurt Johnson. Kurt Johnson everybody knew Lennox would just take Kurt Johnson. So Lennox, I think, kind of took Kurt Johnson a little. Lennox, when you looked at Lennox when he walked in the ring as Klitschko, he wasn't in the greatest shape. Kind of like when he fought Rahman. And I remember having that same feeling when I watched him. I said, oh, fuck, Lennox, you're going to lose the belt again. But Lennox took some shots. Lennox got rocked. And I mean, he took some shots and came back. And because of a cut over Klitschko's eye, the fight was stopped. Lennox retained. And I always felt that if Lennox Lewis would have fought a rematch with Klitschko, and Lennox Lewis came into shape, he destroys Klitschko. Lennox Lewis would have beat both the Klitschko brothers, in my opinion. And in shape, Lennox Lewis would have crushed both the Klitschko brothers. We all know Vitaly has no chin. And I think it was Vladimir that had the chin, but, just cuts easy. Whatever. Anywho, Lennox is gone. Lennox just vacated everything, retired. Again, never came back to, And the Klitschko brothers then pretty much controlled the heavyweight division. And nobody gave a fuck because the Klitschko brothers, they were in Germany doing whatever the hell they do. And they weren't in America much. And their style was boring. And it was just like, people forgot about the heavyweight division. Because the heavyweight division pretty much at that point in time was pretty much dead. There were no good heavyweights. Division was dead. Nobody cared. And then, of course, we fast forward to where we are today. As the heavyweight division started, as the Klitschkos got older, a new group of heavyweights started coming along. We started getting some better fighters in the heavyweight division that weren't Klitschko, dominated. And that was, for the first time, instead of having those Eastern Europeans, now we had the British, another Brit in Anthony Joshua. And we had another, and for the first time in a long time, America had a heavyweight. He said, hey, we might got one here in Deontay Wilder. So we're, the division, boxing was looking good. The heavyweight division was getting stronger because you got a bunch of good young guys. Klitschko's on his way out. We got a bunch of good young guys. Now we got something. AJ and Deontay Wilder. Klitschko retired. The older Klitschko retired. Thus, the WBC title was vacated because Samuel Peters, for a short term, had the WBC title. And then he lost it to returning Klitschko, who took some time off, came back, beat Peters, defended it maybe once or twice, then retired again to go back to the politics in the Ukraine. And then when that happened, Bermane Stiverne won the title. Bermane Stiverne had earned himself a shot because, Amendola. Was it Amendola? Yeah, I think it was. That was a top heavyweight. Anyways, Bermane Stiverne won the WBC title, and Bermane Stiverne looked like he was a world beater. And Bermane Stiverne ran into Deontay Wilder. And Deontay Wilder won the decision and become the WBC heavyweight champion. On the other side, with the other 3 belts, Tyson Fury had beaten the other Klitschko brother who held the other 3 belts. And Tyson Fury was now the heavyweight champion. And Tyson Fury was talking. Tyson Fury was supposed to give Klitschko a rematch. I don't know why the hell that fell through. Then Tyson Fury was talking about fighting Wilder. And of course, we know Tyson Fury had his demons, which kept him drug abuse, things that made Tyson Fury, was out of boxing, and the titles were vacant. And Anthony Joshua then went about collecting Tyson Fury's belts. First beating Martin for the IBF title, then beating Klitschko to capture WBA title, and thus, of course, last weekend beating Tony Parker to capture WBO title. All these belts, the guy that held them, Tyson Fury, is still undefeated, and he's barking about maybe he returns. Tyson Fury's a young guy. If he gets himself in shape, Tyson Fury, I think that'd be interesting. Where Tyson Fury is going to fit into those, because he is technically still the lineal heavyweight champion. Okay, now we have Deontay Wilder going through winning his bouts. His biggest bout this last month was against Luis Ortiz. Now, this is what angers me. And one of the guys that I love to listen to, Michael Montaro Unboxing. Love it. I love listening to this guy because, he's... look, when I started doing watching these YouTube videos, a lot of these guys I really didn't like. And Montero's one of the guys I do like. Love the LDBC, all the LDBC guys, and the Smoke Scene Mobcast Wednesday nights at 9, which is on tonight at 9 o'clock as I'm recording this. If you get a chance, tune into Smoke Scene Mobcast. Unfortunately, I'll be sleeping, so I'll have to catch the Smoke Scene Mobcast tonight at work. I work third. I'll catch it tonight at work, and I'll make a comment, But I love the Smoke Scene Mobcast, love the LDBC. And I'm going to explain that in my next video about those guys. I'll go more in detail about my thoughts on those guys. But, okay. Now we have one of the things that Michael Montaro says, and I will agree with this. One of the things is we don't always have to agree. But what I don't like is when you have a guy who just 7-8 months ago, a year ago, was the boogeyman, the most scary man on the planet. Nobody wanted to fight him. To then, when he gets to fight and he's beaten, now you say, well, Luis Ortiz wasn't that good because he wasn't this and he wasn't that. But hold on, a year ago, you were saying this is the baddest this man was being avoided. He's the most feared heavyweight out there. Oh, Wilder won't fight him. Oh, Joshua won't fight him. Nobody was fighting Luis Ortiz. Everybody, including Montero, was screaming the virtues of Luis Ortiz. When Deontay Wilder beats him, instead of saying to Wilder, wow, giving Wilder his credit, they try to take it off. And the thing I don't agree with Michael Montero sat there on his video and said that Joseph Parker victory was a bigger deal than Deontay Wilder beating Luis Ortiz. Let's see. So you got Joseph Parker, who fought nobody, was being hidden away in New Zealand, and you got Luis Ortiz, who everybody was running from. And you're going to tell me that because Joseph Parker, the only reason anybody's talking about Joseph Parker to begin with is because he had a belt. Otherwise, Joseph Parker didn't do anything that was really spectacular. And you can't compare him to. So now all of a sudden, Luis Ortiz, because he loses in a competitively damn good fight, a fight. Honestly, I had Ortiz winning the fight until the end. But I had Ortiz winning the fight. Now I had Ortiz up by maybe two, by 2-3 points. But we're neither here nor points don't matter because he got knocked out. But the point, what I don't like is that here you are now taking credit from Deontay Wilder and giving credit to Anthony Joshua. This is the problem. We have the UK fans. They're going to back their dog regardless. They're going to back their horse. And here in America, we have Deontay Wilder, but why aren't we backing him? We aren't backing our guy. So we'd rather say, the hell because for some reason Deontay Wilder isn't the heavyweight champion we want. So we're not going to back him. Now, I know that during the Larry Holmes run, that there was Larry, there were a lot of people that maybe Larry wasn't their cup of tea, and Larry pissed off a lot of people. But I guarantee you, when Larry fought anybody outside the U.S., we backed Larry. He was our guy. He was our heavyweight champion. And it's usually with America, when we have a heavyweight champion, we back our guy. This is one of those rare cases. I mean, except for when Jack Johnson held the belt, that there was a segment of America that didn't back him. But in modern times, it's the first American heavyweight champion, and I don't remember that I've seen that the media is just shitting on him, and I don't understand that. And you're trying to see, this is what I don't like about the boxing media. Even Montero, and I like Montero, but to sit there and say you're not biased is a lie. Because you have your favorites. And if you guys in the boxing media have an agenda, there's certain guys you have to push. Certain guys you're told to, and you can sit there on your video and say, well, because even though I work for a British magazine, I'm still not going to denigrate this guy. You're wrong. You're lying, because you're sitting there telling us that Anthony Joshua's victory over Joseph Parker was more meaningful than Deontay Wilder's victory over Luis Ortiz, a man who was a boogeyman, a man that Joshua did not want to fight. That was a meaningful freaking victory. The only thing that made the Parker victory was worth it there was because he brought that other belt in there. But nobody gave a damn about Joseph Parker. Nobody cared about him when he had the belt, and guess what? Nobody's going to care about him after he don't got the belt. And I guarantee you, when the minute Luis Ortiz gets back in the goddamn ring, guess what? People are going to talk about Luis Ortiz. The minute he knocks somebody out, they go, oh, Ortiz is back. Nobody gives a fuck about Joseph Parker. And the ratings prove it. You had the Parker Joshua fight was in the middle of the afternoon. They had two replays. They had the live one, which was on at 5 o'clock, and then a replay at regular 8 o'clock. Between them, they got 800,000 views. Between the two replays, one viewing of Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz got over 1 million views, 1.23 million views, and Luis Ortiz and Deontay Wilder were going up against UFC editing and NBA, so they were going up against competition in the primetime slot. Anthony Joshua and Parker wasn't. But nobody cares. See, here's the thing. There's a segment of America out that the boxing media lies to you. They tell you that Deontay Wilder's not popular, but the ratings say differently. Because on Saturday night, when you get 1.2 million viewers to watch you fight, don't tell me that Luis Ortiz was not relevant, because people knew about Luis Ortiz, people know about Deontay Wilder. So just because Anthony Joshua go fill up a couple stadiums in London, hey, great, God bless you. God bless you. Lennox Lewis could have done that too. And Lennox Lewis is a better heavyweight champion than Anthony Joshua. But you still have to come here, you still have to fight the big boys. They keep saying that I don't want to come to America, I don't have to come to America too. You're full of shit. Because let me tell you something, son. You can keep filling up Cardiff, and you can fill up every stadium you want over the UK. But you ain't gonna make no money until you come to America. Because the bottom line, the price, the pay-per-view prices here, the money that you're gonna make going to Vegas, beats the shit out of what you're making over there. You're making 18 million. Take home 18 million before the Queen gets hers. So what? After the Queen gets hers and Eddie Hearns gets theirs, what you taking home? Maybe 10, maybe less than 10, maybe 9.5. Whereas you come to fight in Vegas, yeah, you don't put as many people in, but the pay-per-view, the pay-per-view money's bigger. The purse is going to be bigger, and you need that American exposure. Vegas, Madison Square Garden, the Barclays. Dude, you need to come to the U.S. You need to come to the U.S. and fight. I also believe I'd like to see Deontay Wilder go over there and fight, but I don't want him to fight Anthony Joshua there because we've already seen Anthony Joshua with a whole bunch of home cooking over there. I'd like to see him go over there and maybe fight Dillian White. You know, if Dillian White's your manager, go over there and knock out Dillian White in London. Go to the UK, knock out Dillian White, get him done with. You know, and you know, look, here's the thing. We're not going to get Joshua Wilder this year. We know that. Might not get until maybe late next year. But what I would like to see Deontay Wilder do is this. You already beat Luis Ortiz, okay. You told him to fight in Dominic Brazil in Alabama. Okay, go home and have that home defense. Now, then fight one more fight this year. Give us 3 fights this year. Go to the UK, knock out Dillian White. End your year. Knock out Dillian White. Because look, Anthony Joshua's not going to fight you this year. So might as well stay active. Fight Brazil. Knock him out in Alabama. And start building your fan base in Alabama. So that maybe, you know, if you can start filling that damn stadium you start filling that stadium like the Tide do. Roll Tide. You start filling that stadium like the Tide do. Shit, you ain't got to leave home either. You can say, shit, well, I'm not going to go there. I can go right here in Alabama. Fill up the stadium here with these Bama fans. Shit, you come bring your ass on down to Bama. Now, I think I would like to see Deontay Wilder go because Deontay Wilder has a lot of momentum that the boxing media won't tell you he has. They want you to believe Deontay Wilder does not have any momentum. He does. The heavyweight division right now in boxing, we need this fight, and this is why we need this fight. We just had the thing with the drugs and Canelo and Golden Boy, and in my opinion, I'll cover that more in my next video. They're on their way out the door. I'm sorry, Golden Boy, they're on their way out the door. And that Canelo Triple G fight just got canceled. We don't really. Mayweather's gone. Hopefully, Floyd stays gone. I don't think Floyd's going to fight in MMA, and I know Floyd's not coming back and fighting these young boys. Keith Thurman's holding them 2 belts hostage. I don't like champions being stripped, but this is a case where Keith needs to be champion and recess and let them belts be free. You know, and Sean Porter, Danny Garcia for the WBC belt, and the winner of Manny Pacquiao, Lucas Matisse, can be elevated to a super champion in that division. Of course, Keith Thurman would be the #1 contender and be able to guarantee the shot at either one of them upon his return. But, you know, I like the champion in recess mode because if Keith Thurman cannot fight, don't hold those belts hostage. You know, I understand you didn't want to fight Earl Spence. But, you know, I'm not going to go in it because I don't think you're coming off an injury, so I'm going to let the Spence thing go. I'm going to let the Earl Spence thing go because this, in my opinion, I'm going to let the Spence thing go because of this. You have so much going on in the welterweight division right now. If Keith Thurman's not healthy enough to fight a tune-up, he's not healthy enough to fight Earl Spence. Let's just be honest about it. So, and really, I didn't expect that fight till 2020 anyways. You know, I think that fight needs a couple years to grow. I think Keith Thurman needed 2018 to start getting himself back in the ring, to get back in the ring this year. He wasn't going to fight 3 times this year. Let's be honest. Keith Thurman has been fighting once a year. If we had to get 2 fights out of Keith. So if Keith would have fought, he'd have fought in May. Then he came back in October. He'd have fought either Sean Porter or Danny Garcia this year. Okay. Then we would have probably had next year. he would have fought whoever he didn't fight. You know, if he fought Danny first, he had to fight Sean Porter next year. So we weren't going to get that. And then Keith, then Keith was going. We know how Keith is. Keith was not going to fight Earl Spence this year or next year. He was not going to fight Earl Spence till 2020. We're not getting that fight till 2020 if we get it all. That's always been my opinion. But I like that because I figured by this time we give Spence time to build up. Let Earl Spence go through cleaning out. Look, Earl, the last guy that had the last great IBF welterweight champion was Felix Tito Trinidad. Tito Trinidad took that IBF title, made 19 defenses, cleaned up. I like Spence to do the same thing. Just clean up, just clock everybody. Whoever will fight you, are you going to fight the best guys? No, but the best guys staying the fuck away from you. But then you can fight the Luis Calazos. They're guys that you can fight. They're not the best guys, but they're guys that will, that have had careers and that you can put on your regimen. And you can't be saying, well, Earl Spence ain't fight nobody. Well, he's not, but the reason he's not fighting because the guys that are worth it damn are saying we don't want Spence. Then maybe by this time you might run into a fight with Crawford. So let's just say you do your thing, Crawford wins that welterweight title, he does his thing. You start, you and Crawford want to collide and unify those two belts. So now you're a unified champion, and whatever happens on the WBCBA side, they're unified. Or maybe now that Keith Thurman's hurt again, if they take those belts, then maybe Manny Pacquiao wins, and Manny's feeling himself, and Manny's like, yeah, I'll fight. Maybe Manny decides maybe Bob makes that in-house fight between Manny Pacquiao and Terrence Crawford he wants to make. Hey, great. That means Crawford gets the WBO and the WBA titles. Earl Spence can continue to clean up the outside, and then Spence and Crawford collide for 3 out of the 4 belts. So now the only holdout is going to be either the winner of Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, who's going to run for dear life not to make that fight. But of course, eventually Uncle Al's going to make him make that fight. When the fight brews up to the point, Uncle Al said, yeah, we got to make this fight. But that's going to be it. We went, 55 minutes, longer than I wanted to go. Because it takes me forever to do these videos, and and it takes me like forever to get back in front of here and do another one. But that was most thing I wanted to cover was the heavyweight division. I threw in a little bit of the extra tidbits. But if you drop a like, tell me something, post a comment, man. Go to my website, oldschoolboxingtalk@gmail.com. You can post a comment on the bottom. This is going to be put up first on Facebook, then I'll probably post up on YouTube. But drop comments, man. I love to interact with intelligent boxing fans. And then I'll do another video. I'm trying to do another one. I might do one later on today, if not tomorrow. That I want to cover the Canelo, my thoughts on the Canelo thing. Look, I'm a guy, like I said, if you follow my videos, you know what I'm about. I'm not about the business of boxing. I'm about let's get in the ring, let's see the fights. That's me. And I understand there's a business side of it, but I just want to see what happens in the ring. Because that's their money. I can't spend any money. I got to spend my money because I got to pay for cable or whatever. But I don't, I got to spend my money. So if I'm going to spend my money, I want the fights. So, and I love seeing good young fighters come up. So till next time, this is Doe Wilson signing out. Drop a like, a dislike, drop a comment.